The dining hall at Camp Pendleton was never quiet, but on that particular Tuesday evening, it buzzed with a different kind of energy. Over 1,000 Marines and sailors packed the long metal tables, exhausted from a week of joint exercises, their laughter rough and loud and honest. Among them sat Corporal Diana Reyes, 5 years in the Corps, 2 deployments behind her, a woman who had learned that the loudest rooms were often the loneliest places on earth. She had grown up quiet, raised by a grandmother in San Antonio who taught her that dignity was not something given, but something carried, always, in the way you held your spine. Diana had carried it through boot camp, through Fallujah's dust, through the long silences of a Marine base where women still had to prove, daily, that they belonged. She was small in frame and enormous in stillness, the kind of person who listened more than she spoke and saw more than people realized. He came in like weather. Lieutenant Commander Marcus Hale walked the length of the dining hall like the room owed him something, his uniform sharp, his jaw sharper, the kind of man who had never once doubted the space he occupied. He was a SEAL and everyone knew it, because he told them, loudly, often. He sat across from Diana without asking, which she noted, and began talking about himself with the fluid confidence of someone who had mistaken volume for substance. Diana was polite. She always was. She smiled where smiling was appropriate and said little. But when Hale reached across the table and grabbed the last bread roll off her tray without a word, something shifted. She said quietly, "I was going to eat that." He laughed. The men around him laughed. And then he said something that didn't belong in any room, something low and cruel and aimed directly at her, the kind of comment designed to remind a woman of what some men still believed she fundamentally was. She asked him to stop. He leaned closer instead. And then, before the echo of his words had finished moving through the air, he put his hand on her arm in a way that was not accidental. What happened next lasted less than 2 seconds. Diana stood, broke his grip, and when he rose with her in a motion that was clearly intended to intimidate, she did what years of Marine Corps combatives had prepared her to do. One clean, efficient movement. He went down hard. The tray rattled. The hall went absolutely silent. Over 1,000 people watched Marcus Hale, Navy SEAL, lie flat on the floor of a military dining hall, unconscious, put there by a woman half his size who then straightened her uniform, picked up her tray and sat back down. She didn't smile. She didn't look around. She ate her dinner. The video spread before midnight. By morning, it had reached the kind of corners that videos reach when they contain something true. People watched it not for the violence, which was minimal, but for what came after, the stillness of her, the absence of performance, the way she refused to become a spectacle even as one erupted around her. Marcus Hale woke up on the floor to the kind of silence that teaches. He had a bruised jaw and a fractured understanding of himself, and in the days that followed, something uncomfortable moved through him that he had no name for. He requested her information through proper channels. She declined to speak with him. He wrote her a letter instead, which he had never done for anyone, and in it he said the only honest thing he had perhaps ever put on paper, that he had walked through the world believing his strength made him right, and that in 2 seconds she had shown him the difference between force and power, between rank and character. Diana read the letter once and set it aside. What changed her wasn't the letter. It was what happened 6 weeks later, when she learned that Hale had quietly requested a transfer to a different unit, and that before leaving, he had stood in front of his own team and told them what he had done. Not the version where he minimized it, the real version. She didn't forgive him because he deserved it. She forgave him because her grandmother had told her that forgiveness was not a door you opened for someone else, but a window you opened for yourself. She wrote him back 3 sentences. She said she had heard what he did. She said that took something real. She said she hoped he kept doing it. They never met again. That was fine. Some things don't need to become a friendship to matter. Some reckonings happen in dining halls, in front of 1,000 witnesses, in less time than it takes to draw a full breath, and they ripple outward in ways that no one fully tracks. What the video showed was a woman defending herself, What it couldn't show was the girl in San Antonio who learned to carry her dignity like something sacred. What it couldn't show was a man alone in a bunk, reading 3 sentences, understanding for the first time that strength without decency is just noise, and that the quietest people in the room are sometimes the ones holding everything together. Diana Reyes finished her dinner that night. She slept well,